morning and welcome back. This is Daybreak. Thanks for staying with us. The hashtag on X is Citizen Daybreak. The SMS code is 22422 at Citizen TV Kenya and at Ayub Abdikadir. On my far right is Senator Richard Onyonka representing the county of Kisii. Good morning.
Good morning, Ayub.
Thanks for your time. Much appreciated. Lovely having you here on the broadcast. Councillor Nelson Harvey joins us this morning on the broadcast.
Good morning, Ayub.
Thank you. And Suba South lawmaker Carol Omondi is also with us this morning in studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for your time. Senator Eddie Okech, representing the county of Migori, is also with us in studio this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Ayub.
Thanks for your time.
Asante sana.
Much appreciated, gentlemen, and your presence is highly appreciated. Let's begin with the events of yesterday, the passing on of Pope Francis. To begin with you here first, Senator Richard Onyonka, of course, a Catholic.
Yes.
The events from the Vatican, the communication that was issued before we bring this discussion home, and the address by the Pope in 2015, delivered in Parliament where you were at the time. Your comments on his passing on and his thinking and how he was seen as the different Pope by the Catholics, including how he had appreciated subjects that were considered anathema by
that's true.
Yes, by followers of the Catholic Church.
First of all, for me, as a Catholic, I would like to wish all the Catholic fraternity in Kenya a very big pole. The truth is that when the Pope dies, it's not a simple issue. You're talking about a leader of a church that has about 1.6, 1.7 million followers. So it's a substantive number. Number two, Pope Francis was very interesting. He was, you see, historically in the Catholic Church, there are periods when the church had popes who were very conservative, who believed in the old tenets of Christianity, of the church, which is Catholic, and there was no room to wriggle through any issue, Pope Francis represents what I call the neo-liberal church side where I belong. There are certain things which, yes, the church has held them as solid tenets of our religion, and the church has maintained them historically. Some of us are saying, should we hold on to those tenets?
Okay.
As modernity changed so fast that we need to review. And one of the issues that has always come up is whether a Catholic priest should marry. And this is a legitimate question, and it's been discussed, and the church has always maintained that they didn't think there's a need for a priest to marry.
Yeah. And
when you didn't marry, then you carried yourself at a higher level. The dignity at which you need to carry yourself gives you the moral authority, therefore, to represent the church. Whether that will continue being the issue, I don't know what happens if the new church is appointed or elected.
Okay.
But so far, Pope Francis was a person who believed in dignity of humanity, fairness, equity, and justice. He was basically the moralist of my church. And he has died leaving a very good legacy, a very good name. When he came here, we were all excited. The church service was held at the university, and I was there. It was a big occasion for all of us who are Catholic. Yes.
Councillor Harvey, in a world where value systems in liberalism on the rise, you have seen quite the gradual erosion of religious beliefs in many quarters, mainstream religions that continue to be challenged because of liberalism. Did he fit into the thinking of those who had held on to the beliefs of societies that are liberal, that welcome criticism, including criticism regarding religion, including Muslims and Christians, as well as those who had deemed challenging even the men of the cloth?
You see, the role of religion in the society is to provide hope to the people. Francis goes down as a moral icon, the poor people's Pope. And to the extent that these are the values that he embodied, what I want to pick from his death is this. Do the people of Kenya today embody these values? You see, religion has eroded for various reasons. And I think, and I speak strongly, that the political class has decided to take over religion. You know, to the extent that we are told there is a church for the state. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. And these are the things that Francis spoke against. So those who mourn him must exemplify what he stood for. And to the extent that he is the moral icon, I think it's all imperative as we speak right now. We put into practice the things he spoke about. And to a large extent, the Catholic Church has been very fundamental in the leadership of this country and the world at large. You see, insofar as constitutionalism is concerned, Muheria has been the forefront amongst many other Catholic clerics. And that is the take home that is fundamental. Because the old man has died, the library has closed. But the knowledge that is in that library is what is fundamental.
Okay. And Honorable Karoli Omondi, the Pope has called for no complete detachment from the governance issues and the politics of the day. When he had prayed for South Sudan due to the civil war, when he visited the Palestinian people because of the long-standing Palestine-Israel issue, in Iraq also, following the aftermath of the crisis when Saddam Hussein was deposed by the American-led invasion, albeit without no UN approval. Was he, in a nutshell, telling the political establishment across the world that you have failed humanity?
Thank you very much, Ayub. Let me begin by conveying my condolences to all Catholics, Christians, and people of faith on the demise of Pope Francis. This Pope, embodied what we would call the true traditions of the Catholic Church in terms of projecting pro-people issues and articulating them very well. And he was a man who did not condemn even those that we consider different, or those we did not agree with, or with whom we did not share the same faith. And I remember when he came here, the biggest message he gave Kenyans was, let us stop tribalism. He actually asked during that service that we hold hands. I think he pointed that he knew very well the biggest problem in this country is negative ethnicity, and he called us to abandon that. And going forward, it is true he's been pointing out all these issues, even very sensitive ones to the Catholics. I am one, like LGBTQ issues. He did not support that, but he did not agree with condemnation of those people, and even the way some people were saying they should be treated. And on the Palestinian issues, that's a question of justice. I mean, you cannot have a group of people, humanity, being treated the way Palestinians are being treated, even to date. I mean, if you turn on your TV every single day, the people of Palestine, where their hospitals have been destroyed, schools are destroyed, children are denied basic health facilities. I mean, you need a voice, and the Catholic Church and this Pope was very vocal. Even what President Trump is doing in the US, the harassment of immigrants, the illegal deportations, this Pope has been very strong on that. In fact, I was joking with my brother from Australia yesterday that J.D. Vance was among the last to visit him.
Yes.
And we were saying his policies may have been the trigger of this, but that was just a joke. Because I'm sure the Pope must have pointed out the negative policies that Trump is doing. So as Catholics, we say, God give him eternal rest, let perpetual light shine upon him.
Okay. Yeah. Senator Eddie, always the battle between values and virtues here comes up again with regards to the moral authority and the place of leadership in serving the people, in serving humanity. And he stood for all that. He has been different in many aspects. How can that lesson be imbued in leaderships across the world, including here in the country where it's much needed given the status quo of the Kenyan society?
Thank you, Ayub, and thank you for having us this morning, and good morning to our viewers, particularly our viewers of the Catholic faith. We still mourn. I'm also a Catholic, so we still mourn.
So I have a majority bench.
Yes, so we still mourn, and we still say sorry for the passing of Pope. As you know, virtues and values shape humanity in the context of all the complexities we face as human beings. We will keep on having challenges and opportunities that we face as a society, that we must constantly have as work in progress to better our society. And for me, the biggest lesson would be that we have had so many popes, and we actually think 266. And those 266, a few of them will be remembered the most, in the sense that the virtues and values that they embodied then informs the discourse of leadership and humanity. Pope Francis is among the four popes that come into my head much more, starting with St. Peter, who galvanized and gave the good news some rooting. Then we remember Pope Leo X, who is remembered mostly for having excommunicated Martin Luther and gave birth to what we call Protestants today, which has become a big movement, which my brother Avi was talking about, where that is the movement that would say more particularly that has embraced the idea of church versus state, in what Eusebius and Constantine used to do in much Roman history, which I don't want to get into. We remember Pope Gregory for having given us the calendar. We remember Pope VIII for having been the first one to be assassinated. And what we remember Pope Francis for, I don't want to quote all of them, is the fact that he had two critical values that he believed in. The number one value was this value that my brother Honorable Karuri has talked about, which was the value of compassion and the value of inclusion. The idea that even if people look different than you, even if people believe in things different than you, there is a concept of humanity, which is not really a concept of religiosity. Humanity brings us together, and we must be compassionate about including people. And even if you don't agree with people, disagree with them and understand their perspective. Okay. These are very big, fundamental value that leadership must take. The last one, this was the first pope that hugely believed in the potential of young people, not only in Kenya, not only in the continent, but across the world. And because of young people and the popular culture that's having young people, there's a concept that people have struggled with in leadership called tradition versus modernity. There is modern values, digital space that is coming up, popular global culture that has come up, that he tried to bridge those gaps, which he even taught about at the University of Nairobi. So we as leaders must combine those two and be able to lead a society.
And here's what he said, coming to you, Senator Richard Onyonka, when he visited Kenya, before we come to his address to Parliament in 2015, he said, the young are any nation's most valuable resources. To protect them, to invest in them, and to offer them a helping hand is the best way we can secure a future worthy of the wisdom and the spiritual values dear to their elders, and values which are the very heart and the soul of the people. This was his speech at State House in Nairobi. I urge you, he said, to serve genuine concern for the needs of the poor, the aspiration of the young, and the unjust distribution of natural and human resources which the Creator has blessed your country with. Today, though, the script is different. Kenya's young are killed. There are cases of extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearances meted on them, and cases that are still unresolved of missing young Kenyans. I mean, how then can this be juxtaposed with the values the Pope had espoused vis-a-vis what the Kenyan state believes and, acts within the context?
Truthfully, those words were spoken with prophecy. They were spoken because at that time, and normally this is what happens, when the Pope is traveling globally, in every region, he will have his teams that will prepare his speeches and the statements he's going to make. And he will look at each country differently depending on what the issues are at that particular time. And he was actually telling us, which is what we knew at that time, and that is that we are having population explosion where a majority of our population is going to shift, where 30% will remain the older generation, young generation is going to be 70%. But to see the reality, Ayub, with our leadership and with African leadership, we don't think ahead. We never sit down and understand why certain things are done in a certain way, even when we are actually well-schooled, well-educated, and exposed. I think, I mean, you remember, we've been having this 2020, 2035, you're talking about these periods which we are saying, these are the targets, this is what we intend to do.
Yes.
That is what is going to be the guiding template. That hasn't happened. The Pope has cautioned on many issues. He's been an environmentalist. He's discussed about global warming. He has, in other words, for me, as a moral authority, the Pope had done his job. The Pope has told leadership globally. You saw the comments he made about what the Trump administration is doing to immigrants. I mean, these are all issues that are global in nature. And the Pope put his finger on the pulse, and he spoke on these issues calmly, intelligently, and fairly, without dismissing the sensitivities of these issues. And I think the final thing I would want to say is that he has left his legacy in the hands of the Catholic Church globally, where we are now. I think the Catholic Church locally will have to begin to ask itself the necessary questions. How far can we allow certain things to take place? What is our position? For example, I'm really happy that my church right now, the Catholic Church, is constantly asking questions about governance in Kenya and what could be done better and that kind of thing. So I am positive that, yes, he brought out the moral aspects of religion. He gave us the options of considering what our consciences have been. And I think on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give him an 8 or a 9.
All right, when we get back from break, Council, Honorable Omondi and Senator Eddie, we will proceed with this, because that again comes down to the place of our institutions, because the Pope 9 years ago had probably in his speech foreseen the thunderbolt that hit the administration of the day. That was June 25th, when young people largely rallied around a cause calling for good governance and the punitive proposals that were contained in the Finance Bill 2024, which was rejected by the president following the events of June 25th and the place of good governance in Kenya. The hashtag on X is Citizen Daybreak. The SMS code is 22422 at Citizen TV Kenya and at Ayub Abdikadir. We are back with more after the break here on the broadcast. Stay tuned.